Rosebud Stories. Rosebud Stories with Color Plates by Maud Humphrey. The Holiday Publishing Company, Buffalo, New York. Copyright 1906, by the Holiday Publishing Company. The Little Pink Stone. In the Cloverleaf Club, there were only 3 little girls. It was a story club. The first story they read was called, The Little Pink Stone. This is the story. Little Sylvia lived close by a wood, which was full of many strange and beautiful things the children read about in books. No wild animals lived there. Nothing but little harmless, furry creatures, and beautiful birds that belonged to the wood. Sylvia was 5 years old and her mother had permitted her, for the first time, to go alone in the wood as far as the sycamore tree to gather mosses and ferns. "This is a dear little path," she said. "I will follow it." It ended in a little cave just under the sycamore tree. "This must be a woodchuck's hole," said Sylvia. She peeked in, and what do you think she saw? A little fairy smiling at her. She had always wanted to see a fairy, but she did not ever expect to see one. "Come," said the fairy in a tiny voice that sounded like the wind among the pine trees. "I am too big," said Sylvia. "You will not be, after you take the first step," said the fairy, "and touch this little pink stone, which you must not lose. Nothing can harm you in my palace, but when the stone turns in your hand, you must return." "Oh, what a wonderful thing," thought Sylvia, "to go into a fairy's palace," and she said, "I will go, if I may." As soon as she stepped inside, the little pink stone lightened all the palace. "How small I am," she said to herself. "I wonder if I will ever be as big as when I came here." The place was so lovely that she forgot all about being small, and went wandering through all the beautiful rooms and gardens, and smelled the fair flowers. Suddenly, the little pink stone turned in her hand, and she knew she must go back. When she came to the entrance of the cave, she saw that she was as small as a fairy, and felt troubled. But the moment the fairy took the little pink stone from her hand, she saw that she was the same as when she came. And she said, "Goodbye, little fairy, I am glad that I came. I thank you for all your kindness to me." And the little fairy vanished. 2 butterflies. Kitty and Archie were out on the cliff sitting soberly side by side, when 2 pretty butterflies came flying above their heads. "Oh, what beauties," said Archie. "Come, Kitty, let us catch them." Up they jumped and off came their hats, and the 2 children began chasing the poor little creatures until at length they had caught them, and then they sat down again to rest, leaving their hats lying on the grass with the butterflies under them. "Mine is a lovely one," said Archie. "I shall give it to Rosie Dale for a birthday present." At that moment who should come up the cliffs but Rosie? And when she heard that Archie had caught a butterfly and meant to give it to her, she was very angry and called him a cruel boy. When she had gone away, the 2 children looked at each other sadly. Then Archie raised his hat and away flew the butterfly. Kitty lifted hers and both butterflies were free. "I wish Rosie had not called me a cruel boy," said Archie, "and now I have nothing to give her on her birthday. Take her a nice posy of flowers out of your own garden, and tell her you will never be a cruel boy again," said Mother, when she heard the story. "She will forgive you then." Archie did so, and when Rosie heard he had set the poor butterflies free, she took the flowers and kissed Archie, and so they were friends again. Dandelion Day. Once upon a time, there came a day when all the birds were singing and building their nests, when the butterflies were floating in the beautiful sunshine, and the bees in their velvet coats were not at all cross, but were softly humming among the flowers. It was on that day that the dandelions blossomed, and were so very yellow that the meadows looked as if they were carpeted with gold. That was the day when Marjorie and Mabel and Grace spent the whole day in the fields. They watched the birds to see how they built their nests. They held dandelions under their chins to see who loved butter, and then sat down upon the dandelion carpet and told stories. This is Marjorie's story. "Once upon a time, I saw a little spider sitting upon a tall briar bush. She wanted to cross a brook and there was no bridge. 'I will have to build one,' she said. So, she began at once to spin. She spun, and spun, fastening one end of her silken thread to the briar bush. The thread was so light that the wind floated the loose end across the brook. Mrs. Spider waited until the wind had fastened the floating end of the silken thread to a bush across the brook. "Now I can go over," she said. As she went, she spun another thread to make the bridge stronger. When she reached the other side, she tightened her threads and her bridge was complete. Many times a day she crossed her little silken bridge to call upon a ladybug. The leaf phase. "I don't want to go to bed," said Teddy. "It's so dark upstairs, and the trees rustle and frighten me." "Why, Teddy," said Mother, "it is only the little leaf face talking." Teddy pouted as he went up to bed. He had not been in bed long before the wind blew the window open, and then floated a whole troop of leaf fays, who told Teddy they had come to fetch him for a frolic. In a moment more, Teddy was curled up in a dry leaf, whirling out of his window with the fays. At first it was rather nice, but when the wind grew rough, they went down to the lake to swim, and Teddy found the water so cold that he crept ashore and began to cry, and to say he wanted to go home. "All right, jump on," said a fay. "I've brought your hedgehog." "I can't ride a hedgehog, he will prick so," said Teddy. "Boys who pout when they are sent to bed must ride what they can," said the fay. "I won't," said Teddy. Then he called, "Mother," and Mother came flying to him, picked him up in her arms and flew back to his own little room, and popped him into the bed. He fell fast asleep then, and did not wake until the morning. Teddy never pouts when he goes to bed now. He is afraid the leaf phase might make him ride the hedgehog next time. Blind man's buff. "How dreadful it must be to be blind all the time," said Margaret, as they tied a handkerchief about her head. "It is fun for a little while though," said Blanche, as she crept close behind Margaret and touched her ear with a feather. "Shh," said Janice, "we must stop talking and change places or she will know just where to find us." Little Ruth crouched low and escaped being caught, but came very near giggling aloud. Then she squeezed under the garden seat. "Kee-yee," cried Pumpkin, who was taking a nap there, and whose paw got squeezed in the scramble. "You can't catch me," said Florence. "Why not?" said Margaret, who ran full haste after the voice. In turning the corner both fell plump into a pond lily tub, and were awfully scared. "Let's play something else," said Margaret, as they came out dripping with water. "I don't like such surprises." "Neither do I," said Florence. "Let's hunt a chipmunk's hole," said Janice, and they all ran down the rabbit path to the edge of the wood. They heard a rustling among the bushes, and there were 2 brown hares playing tag around a dogwood bunch. When they saw the children, they stood upon their hind feet, with one ear sticking straight up and listening. The next moment they were gone. "Let's follow them," said Margaret, and they ran farther into the dark wood, calling, "Bunny, little brown bunny." "What's that?" said Janice. Someone said, "Who are you?" It was an owl. But they all scampered out of the wood, and down the rabbit path, and through the meadow until they reached home. The naughty gnome. Longbeard was a very naughty gnome. He was always in mischief. At length, his friends grew tired of his bad conduct, and said they would have no more to do with him. "I don't care," said the naughty Longbeard. And, just to show he did not, he went straight away to a raven's nest and robbed her of her only egg. Then he sat down by the roadside and tried to pretend he was happy. But he was very dull and alone. Soon he began to nod, then he fell asleep. But he did not sleep long, for the raven came home, and, when she found her one egg gone, and heard Longbeard had stolen it, she flew at him and pecked him. "Ah," yelled Longbeard, "I'll teach you to peck me. I'll wring your neck when I catch you." "Catch me if you can," the raven croaked, as off she flew. Longbeard went after her, nearly caught her in the rushes by the marsh pond. But the little frog tripped him up, and into the pond he went, heels over head. The raven flew safely away, and, as poor drenched Longbeard crawled ashore, he said to himself, "I'll never steal birds' eggs again." From that day, he became a better gnome, so his friends forgave him, and now he is a very good and happy little fellow. Jack stones. 5 little black jacks, all ready for play, and 6 chubby hands are as ready as they, while one little jack is tossed in the air. We pick up another and there is a pair. While two little jacks are tossed up, you see. We pick up another, and then there are three. While three jacks are tossing, we throw up one more. When caught all together, we find we have four. Then up go the four, while one little jackstone, the last to be taken, is left all alone. For only a second, then he with the four. Make five little jackstones together once more. We catch them and toss them as cats do their mice. Oh, a good game of jackstones is awfully nice. We toss them once more, and the five must be caught. On the back of the hand, if the game is well taught. A good old friend. Take the umbrella, Susie, Mother said, as Susie and her sister were setting out to walk to their aunt's house. Susie pouted. It is so big and ugly, she said. Never mind, Mother told her. That umbrella has been a good old friend to me, and one should not mind an old friend's looks. So Susie took the umbrella, and very glad she was that she had done so, for when the little girls were leaving their aunt's house, they found the rain was falling fast. But under the good old friend, they were both kept dry all the way home. The buttercup and the daisy. A little buttercup peeped out. Above the grassy mould, a drop of rain fell gently in its pretty cup of gold, and then a sunbeam softly shed sweet warmth upon its yellow head. A little daisy shyly peeped from out its resting place. Then gentle rain fell softly on its sweet uplifted face, and then the sunshine, warm and gay, drove all the glistening drops away. A soft breeze swayed the buttercup towards the daisy fair. Their heads were bent together close, a loving little pair. They looked into each other's eyes, and kissed beneath the sunny skies. Constance M. Low. Ambition, said Squeaker, in his cosy sty. When I am grown up big, into the circus I shall go. I'll be a learned pig. I'll show that I know B from Z. Perhaps I'll dance a jig. His mother heard, and all at once she gave his ear a tweak. A fine performer you would make. As yet you cannot squeak. Learn that before of circuses and jigs and things you speak. Cherry ripe. Cherry ripe. Cherry ripe, said Robin in the tree. One for each one in the nest, and lots for you and me. Did you hear what the robin said to us, Beth? No. What? He said, cherry ripe, and dropped one down to us. He took a bite from it first though, said Lillian. Oh see, said Beth, the whole top of the tree is red with ripe cherries. How are we to get our share of them? Robin is willing to divide with us, said Lillian, or he would not have told us that they were ripe. Cherry ripe, he kept saying. Thank you, said Beth, if we had wings we would be up there directly. We have no wings, said Lillian, but we have hands instead. Let's see what we can do. They first climbed the wall, but there were no ripe cherries on the lower branches. It did not take them long however to contrive a way to climb the tree. We are having a picnic with the robins, said Beth. I should like cherries much better than worms if I were a robin. I saw a robin walking over the lawn and listening. To what? Said Lillian. He was listening for a worm, said Beth. Whenever he heard an earthworm moving under the sod, he thrust his bill down quickly, pulled him out, and gobbled him down. How dreadful, said Lillian. Let's pick enough cherries, said Beth, to make a pie for poor Granny Whitehead who lives all alone under the hill. That day the cook made a delicious cherry pie, covered the crust with sugar, and wrapped it in a linen napkin. When they carried it to Granny Whitehead, it made her as happy as a robin in the treetop. A little fairy. There was once a little fairy so very tiny she seemed only fit to be petted. But she knew that every fairy has some good work to do in the world, so she went weeping to the fairy queen and said, What can I do, dear queen? Surely there is some little service I can render. Go forth into the wide world, the queen answered, and then ask your own kind heart what you can do to help the sad and weary ones you see. So the little fairy spread her wings and flew away to the dark earth below. She had no sooner seated herself upon a dry twig to rest a while, than close beside her she saw such a sad, weary little face that she forgot everything else in watching it. A little sick child lay in a squalid bed in a cold, miserable little room. Suddenly a little gleam of interest crossed the small pale face, and the fairy looked down into the street to see what could have pleased the little child. It was only a half-burnt match, and the sick child was wondering how long it would flicker. Down flew the little fairy from her perch, and with her wings she fanned the dying flame till it sprang up again and danced for a moment so that the sick child smiled. Oh, how happy the little fairy was then! She flew straight back to the fairy queen, and told her how she had made a little child smile. "Little Love," said the queen, for Love was the fairy's name, "I would that I had done that work. You are the sweetest and best of us all, and you shall wear my crown, and be our queen." But Love said, "No, I am not fit to be a queen. Only let me go back to the earth and live with that little sick child forever." So Love went to dwell in the attic room, and smoothed the weary pillows and lulled the tired eyes to rest, and Love it was who nursed the sick child into health again. The skating party. "Take hold of my skirt," said Cathy, "and you will soon learn to skate." Cathy stretched out her arms just as a bird spreads its wings when it flies, and away they flew singing. Hey ho, hey ho, hey ho, swift as the wind we go. The birdies fly along the sky. We fly on the street below. "Let's have a skating party," said Cathy, "if Mama is willing." "Certainly," said Cathy's Mama. "You may call for the Westons and the Harlands, and all skate down to Sweetwater Spring, and your brother Hal will go down later on his wheel and join you at the spring. The pavement is smooth all the way so you will have clear skating." The little company of skaters was soon on its way, and those who could not skate very well were helped by others, so all had a jolly time. While they were resting at the spring, Cathy's brother came spinning along on his wheel, with a big basket of delicious things for a spread. What a pleasant surprise it was! The cloth was soon laid upon the ground for the feast of cookies, and tarts, chicken and eggs, bananas and oranges, and they drank from Sweetwater Spring. They had a jolly time skating homeward, and what do you think they saw on the way? A little scarlet lizard. Brother Hal took it home in his pocket to put in his aquarium. They will never forget the happy time they had at Sweetwater Spring. The birthday present. 'Twas Rosie Posey's birthday. Of presents she'd a score. And ere the day was over, there came one present more. It was a wicker basket. When Rosie came to see, she gazed at it and wondered whatever it could be. She cut the string with scissors, and almost as she knew, out jumped the sweetest pussy that ever tried to mew. And Rosie, quite enchanted, was heard at once to say, "This is the nicest present that I have had today."